allegiance. We have two guest pleasures today. The Ford sisters, if you want to come up here in the front, you can. Kelby and Haven are going to lead us. And Kelby doesn't want to, it's okay. Go ahead, Haven.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Haven.
Thank you, Haven.
All right. Please call roll.
Atkins.
Here.
Bishop. Here. Peru.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. It's a beautiful day.
Francini.
Present, thank you.
Beasley.
Here.
Teeger.
Ready to go.
All righty. Minutes of the July meeting. Do we have a motion to accept those?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Atkins.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Peru.
Yes.
Francini.
Yes.
Beasley.
Yes.
Teeger.
Yes.
Moving into public comments, we have two additions to the agenda that aren't on the one that was passed out, and these will be taken up during this section. The first one will be a public recognition of Ms. Peggy Reynolds. Her family was there on at the July meeting, and everything wasn't ready, but we have it all ready tonight. So I want to read a proclamation. For those of you who don't know, this will give you a brief background. Peggy Reynolds was the director of Parks and Recs for about 13, 14 years. She also was very active in our senior program we had for many years. And we have changed the name of the meeting place over at the city park where the pool is, there by the City Park Recreation Department's office, and where it used to be called Park Place, and we're changing it to Peggy's Place because of the impact she had on so many people. So I want to read this proclamation, and we also have a nice plaque that I want to present to the family. But the proclamation says, whereas Mary Margaret Peggy Reynolds served as director of the Morehead Parks and Recreation Department from 1984 to 1997, and whereas Peggy was devoted to the Morehead Senior Citizens Program from 1984 to 2004, and whereas Peggy was dedicated to providing recreation and wellness opportunities for so many during her tenure, and whereas Peggy was a truly loving and dedicated employee, always going above and beyond the call of duty in the performance of her job, and whereas the City of Morehead would like to honor her, therefore I, the Mayor of the City of Morehead, do hereby proclaim that the meeting room at Park Place shall be known as Peggy's Place from this day forward. And witness whereof I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Morehead to be affixed to this on the 10th day of August in the year of our Lord 2015. So we have that proclamation, and we have a very nice plaque that will hang in the room, and it says, Mary Margaret Peggy Reynolds, we all young and old remember Mary Margaret Peggy Reynolds for her dedication and service to the people of Morehead and to the Parks and Recreation Department as director from 1984 to 1997. She was also devoted to the Senior Citizen programs from 1984 to 2004. So if her family would come forward, we'd like to. Come over here. This way. Stand right here. Anybody like to say any few words or anything?
Don't get me started. I'm a Clay.
All right. You want to tell everybody what your all's relation is to Peggy?
I'm her half brother.
Okay.
And
I'm her niece.
Okay.
I'm her niece. I'm her half sister.
And nephew.
Awesome. That's great. Well, here, let's get a picture of it. You want to hold that, and there's a proclamation.
Oh, it's heavy.
So I'm just gonna move you. I'm gonna move you slightly back here,
Okay.
and then move you in here, and then.
Get Kelly in here.
Yeah.
Kelly's our assistant director of Parks and Recreation.
Can I have you come here since you're a little bitty?
Oh,
Little bitty. No, she didn't. I don't know what you're referring to me. I'm more than a bitty.
All right, and everybody just scoot in a little bit. All right, and on 3, 1, 2, you have to look at me. 3. We'll do one more. 1, 2, 3, and before you move, go. One more.
Yeah, bring the check in.
1, 2, 3. What is your name and how do you spell it?
Alice Reynolds. Say that, Alice Reynolds. That's fine.
We went through it. What?
What's your name?
Bill.
Bill.
And Buckner, who's the
Is it Ann with an E or?
Mary Reynolds, Letty, L-E-V-E-E.
L-E-V-E. Is it hyphenated?
No.
Is that all you need?
Sister?
Connie, get in here. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
What's your phone number? I'm gonna call you.
All right.
I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you and we'll talk about Peggy a little bit. To do our stories, this will be.
I sent it to every email I have. When I sent that, you talking about something else? Because everybody's got at least, I think everybody's got 2 except for Brett.
If I'm not answering the phone,
Thank you, Shayla. Thanks, everybody. Thank you all. Yeah, go ahead and take the proclamation, and we'll hang the flag.
do we want 5-star? Could we fit both of them?
No, bring the paper.
Thank you.
They'll hang that up.
All right, next on public comment, May, wasn't it? Or was it the end of April we formed the flood committee? It was May, Beth? We formed a flood committee with several members are here, and the task that we talked to them about and asked them to, we're trying to find and trying to locate persistent trouble areas in Morehead when we receive a lot of rain, a lot of storm water. And they've met several times. I don't know if they've quite met 10, but they've met close to it, I think.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. And with that, they have put forward a list of recommendations. And first of all, if you're here on the flood committee, could you stand for me? Everyone who's here. And it's pretty much, it was well attended from what I understand. And I want to thank you all, appreciate what you've done. So, would someone like to, Sherry, you want to present or talk about, have talking points or go on for what, just kind of summarize this for those who don't know? Or,
Our stand.
I don't know, where's our stand? Don't know. Would the desk be fine if you want to stay with it? Or would you prefer to stand?
I
choose to stand because, you know, I'm more than happy. By the way, I'm Sherry Farley from Frontier Housing, and I worked on a committee with several of these people, the ones who stood up. And there are some others who aren't with us tonight. So, Mayor, I want to thank you for allowing us to have input on what we thought needed to happen as far as flood mitigation.
And just for those who are here, we had business owners, we had property owners, we had someone like yourself who works for Frontier Housing. Beth, you and Beth were co-chairs, am I correct?
That's correct.
And then we had other people who had engineering backgrounds. We had, Bobby was with representing the county unofficially, but several people, we pulled from several different areas, I think. I think we got a good group. Of course, Joe was on there as well.
Yes, it was well covered, and I'll be happy to present this.
Okay.
But if you start asking very technical information, then there's others in the room who are much better, would be much better. to
We'll blame it
answer
on
those
Leon,
questions.
and we'll do all that, give that to him.
Okay, you know, the purpose of these recommendations are really to get something to the mayor and to the city council as soon as possible after the flood, in hopes of preventing future floods as much as possible. This is not all-inclusive, but this is somewhere to start, and we're hoping that you will really take these under serious consideration. So there's 5 main points that were made, with the first one being the development of ordinances. And I think those ordinances have already, there was ordinances developed a couple of years ago, but they've never been approved. And I think at this point, they've gone before the planning commission. And Billy, you're on that planning commission, so you may be able to add to that. But anyway, we're recommending that that the ordinances be adopted.
So Sherry, just give a point of clarification.
Yes.
So the planning commission has a set of model ordinances for us to look at, Billy?
Yes, in 2010, we had a catastrophic flood, and in 2011, the city employed Strand and Associates to look at ways that flooding could be mitigated in the community. They prepared a set of ordinances about 2013. Their study was complete, and they proposed a set of ordinances that would help reduce any future flooding. Basically what it says is that one of the major points of the ordinance is that any future development would not impact any more negatively the runoff and the existing flooding and prevent additional flooding from occurring. Those ordinances are very technical, they're very long. Planning and zoning kicked them around for a long time. At the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last week, we did approve those and recommended they move forward to City Council for adoption. So they'll be coming before you all. I'm sorry, you're right, Joe. They need to go to public hearing next and then come to council for approval. So that process is moving forward.
Are those the ones that were based on the Lexington area? Is that right?
They're very similar.
And that was
Strand.
that was some of the questions about
Development.
their area compared to our area, the size and topography and all that. But I mean, once you submit these or have a public hearing, then it can be, you're confident it can be fit to where we are.
Well, the way it's designed and stuff, it would more or less be as is. It would be something that would come to you.
Joe, let me just interrupt if I could for a second. So the planning commission, Mayor, has had this for multiple years and has worked on it. And I assume, Billy, you guys have already massaged this to make it fit our topography and geography.
As best as possible.
Okay, I was just trying to be clear on it. Were there some reservations you had in it still?
It's very technical. We have to rely on folks like Dave Drummer, Leon Smothers, who were on the committee and understand some of the terminology of hydrology.
From an engineering standpoint.
From an engineering standpoint.
Okay.
It's not unreadable.
If it could be simplified.
You can sit down and read it and be.
But it could be simplified if necessary.
Well, Mayor, the way we set up city government, we have a planning and zoning commission. And they've done the hard work. So they're bringing it to us for review and approval. Not that we can amend it, but I think we have to respect the work
Oh,
that
no,
this
I do,
committee's
I
already done.
I just know
For
I
multiple
attended some of the
years.
meetings, and I know there was some of the language that they were trying to get around, that was all. Oh, I agree with you. Okay, go ahead, Sherry, I'm sorry.
Okay, the second part is stormwater master plan, and there's about 5 different recommendations within that master plan. So, with the first one really is mapping of the entire system, and is working with a geographic information system. It took me a long time to figure out what GIS was, and actually I don't think I knew it until it was written out in these recommendations. But this is basically looking to see what we have, where the problems are, and what needs to be changed to fix it, and what the cost of those fixes would be.
Okay.
Any further explanation?
So what's the timetable? What's the planning commission's or this committee's timetable for implementing this process?
We did not put a timetable on this.
I think when we first began, it was trying to locate what we think or what the committee thinks are the most serious, susceptible areas, and then try to prioritize from there.
And as I read it, Tom, I mean, I look at number 2 and 4, and we talked about this 6 years ago. Because if we get somebody to do number 4, the first thing they're gonna do is number 2. Am I right?
Right.
But then that
And we know who we think should do that, and we need to open those doors up again
I think we do.
and try to get that done.
But however we move forward, it's gonna cost money to do this. Some
Yeah,
serious
I mean,
money.
we've all looked at it enough now that I think we're to the point that if we're gonna implement these, and if we ask the plant board to take it on, there's gonna be a billing structure for it. And that's mentioned in here.
Several grants have been looked at, and there's some applications in or some letters of intent in at this point. There's been some discussion with Congressman Rogers' office on support of the applications. You know, the committee is well aware that it's going to take funding to do this. We tried in this recommendation, or in these recommendations, not to get too specific. Just, we wanted to list things that we thought needed to be done, but we didn't list all of the resources where we thought the resources were. We realized that there's a lot more homework, and not necessarily how the work gets done, just that it gets done is what we were trying to share.
The mayor and myself and 2 representatives from the Corps of Engineers. What's Andy's last name? From Congressman Rogers' office and Gail Wright.
Adam Rice.
And Gail Wright. We met on a grant through the Corps of Engineers. And have you completed that and sent in a request for our initial thing with the Corps of Engineers for a rather large grant that would, if we, make it into that process, would cover that overall feasibility study that we had talked about before. That could cost us, quite a bit. So that's already in the works.
Great.
To help pay for this type of plan.
Item number 3 that's on here is a little bit different than the other items.
Yes.
And this seems to be something we could do on our own, do right away, organize this, and just want to hear is there, other than what you put on paper here, do you have any more specific recommendations for number 3?
I got to looking at Kentucky Emergency Management and different websites online. A lot of this is already done by Kentucky Emergency Management. But what I had looked at, and I haven't gotten to talk to Ronnie Day yet, is the actual, you have your general overview, is getting the actual step-by-step process under that. And I haven't had the opportunity to talk to him yet to see if that this type of specific information is in it. Like, where are the sandbags, where is the sand?
We don't have this now, though.
What?
We don't have any of this now.
Sandbags and all that. We don't
No,
have
no.
No.
So that would
I
be
don't know
new.
what Ronnie Day has with Kentucky Emergency Management, I haven't got to
Okay.
talk to him. Because
Gotcha.
if you read the outlines of on their website and on FEMA's and stuff, it looks like it possibly, a lot of it could come from their office.
Yeah, but if it's in Frankfurt and it's flooding here now, and we need people to do sandbags, I don't think we can.
Yeah, but I'm saying that type of stuff, obviously, as Dave brought this up, it would require people from here. But I mean,
Okay.
the protocol.
The equipment.
The protocol and that type of stuff
Gotcha.
should come from
Yeah.
Ronnie's office.
And then he's got an office, out on 801. They have that emergency management area out there that, as far as equipment, and if it was in the right place, we could utilize that, I'm sure.
If I'm right, what I had in mind here was that we at Morehead could stockpile sandbags, empty sandbags. That would be a cost. We could locate, the sand that would be needed to fill these, such as at concrete plants or asphalt plants. Then the emergency plan would be how to mobilize in a very fast manner, not only the sand to the location and bring the sandbags out, but also manpower, not just city employees, but volunteers, maybe Inspiration Center people, maybe work release people. Go through all of this and set that up, and then train the responsible parties that are going to be involved with this, and then after they're trained, have dry runs, drills, where you play like it's really raining and you come in and you do this, and so you know how to react in a short period of time. So that was my concept, and it could be expanded in however many different ways to the locations and to accommodate the needs.
Thanks, Dave. So do we need several, what do we need to do tonight to move? Do we need several actions, Beth, tonight?
I don't, Sharon, unless I'm wrong, I don't know that we do. I think that we had talked about what the committee needed to do from this point forward. Is that one of the things we were gonna talk about, or?
Yes, there was some discussion in our last committee meeting about the future of our committee. We do have the recommendations to present to the council and to the mayor tonight. Does that mean our work is done? And so we decided that we would ask the mayor, ask city council what your intentions are, what are your needs from this committee? Do you want the committee to continue to meet? If so, only a portion of the committee, what do you need, what do you want?
And my thought on this is this committee needs to continue. We've got a grant in the process. If the committee is not together, who's gonna follow the grant process? Dave's idea is a fantastic idea, a subcommittee within our committee to work this out and continue the process. I think if the committee is not together, this could go by the wayside. We've had committees in the past after a flood meet several times and nothing happens, whereas this group has worked really hard. I mean, meeting every 2 weeks, business owners, individuals from the community giving up their time to come together for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and there's a lot of expertise with this group. I think it needs to continue as it is, not maybe every 2 weeks, every month, whatever it may be, but to follow up with these recommendations and continue on, is my opinion.
I think it should continue too. That's why I wanted to bring it today and let you all have your input on whether you think we should. I think it's good to have that group that continues to look for sources and resources, and maybe there's other areas that will come up later. But as far as what we need to do today, I think Glenn brought it up. We need to go ahead and however we need to form it, we need to speak to Utility Plant Board again about what we can implement with them based on the recommendations, and formulate a plan based on what they're able to do with us. I mean, I think that's the first thing we do, because they have the GIS system. How can that transfer over what we're wanting to do? Can we help? Can we use that? Can we follow up on things? I don't know. So I think that's our first, when you agree, to see exactly what And then-
I have a lot of confidence that the plant board could do this and take this on.
I agree.
But like everything that the plant board does, there has to be a fee. So the plant board applies for grants to expand the water and sewer plants, and we also borrow money to expand the water and sewer plants. And I see this as a similar thing where, as Beth talks, we can potentially get a grant to do the hydrological study. But when it comes to putting in the system, maintaining the system, we'll have to generate a fee in order to cover the costs.
And they're already set up for that.
And the grant does go on to explain partial funding for that as well.
Well, I want to thank the committee for all the work that you all have done. This is great work and excellent recommendations, and I hope that you'll continue this work. I'd like to see us, set up some next steps, and
I agree.
I think Dave's recommendation around the emergency response, that's something, there's nothing holding us back from going ahead and getting that done. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next we will move into, do we have any other public comments? Anybody wants to make any other public comments on any subject at this point? If not, we're going to move into quarterly reports. All right, hearing none, then we'll move into, the first will be tourism and conference center.
As far as I want to provide you all some updates, the Morehead Arts and Eats Festival is September 19th. So if you have any questions or anything, contact Ashley. We do have a new district ranger with the Forest Service. His name is John Kesmirski. Don't say that 3 times fast. I've met him. I'm going to meet with him probably in the next couple of weeks. He is a very trail-oriented, very user-oriented district ranger. I think he's going to be a new outlook to things. Dave Manor gave him his blessing, so I'd say that's pretty good. We have been recertified as a Kentucky Trail Town again.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great thing.
We have an awesome committee working on that. So we've been approved for a $19,500 grant again for outdoor theater. We are already working on that for next year. $19,000 seems like a lot of money, but it with everything that you have to expense for that, we've got a lot of planning to do. We hope to do that on the lawn of the Arts Center again. The Morehead Conference Center, we're hosting the Morehead Outdoor and Off-Road Expo in October. I think that's going to give us a new look on things you can do outdoors in our community, also the off-road side of it. We had the International Mountain Bicycling Association in Morehead in July. I think that was a really good event because that opened up some new opportunities for grants for us to apply for. They also started construction on Carolyn was part of that, started construction on a beginner mountain bike trail up on Eagle Lake. So fishing tournaments were a success. We welcomed over 229 boats with over 500 people fishing with those 3 tournaments. So that was really good. And last but not least, since we are now an official Kentucky Trail Town, I want to propose something. And there's no money involved. Don't you love that? I thought you might think
Should we
that
call
that's
her right
great.
now?
No, what this is there is a
Oh, yes.
brick structure that is actually near Jan. It's a brick structure that's back there on First Street and the corner of Bridge Street. This is a metal piece. This piece is sticking out. This is a metal piece that's actually on my wall. One of my dear friends made this for me to hang on the wall. But I think that metal structure needs something. And I think what better thing to signify is that we're a Kentucky Trail Town and it welcomes people to our downtown area. So just wanted to propose that.
Yeah, where is this? MSU may own that.
MSU may own that.
We gave it to them.
Gave it to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So go ahead and put it up.
Okay.
So give me a copy.
Okay.
We'll bring you back. There you go.
Okay. But you're all okay with it?
Yeah.
Well, at least you know what to think about.
Yeah, this is the structure that's right out in front of KCTM.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be an interest as far as welcoming people to the area.
We would write a letter, submit a letter of
Yeah.
enthusiastic approval if you could.
Yeah. I'll let Kevin know tomorrow that we're gonna get a letter requesting enthusiastic approval.
It works. So, does anybody have any questions?
No, thank you, Joy.
All right.
I did have a financial question, Joy.
Yes.
Let me just get to it here on my, see, if I had paper, I'd already be to it, but Glenn insists that this is quicker and
At least you're
safer.
logged on today.
If you'd make notes, you wouldn't have to do that.
I'm gonna stand back. This is getting dangerous.
See if I can rotate this sucker.
Just turn the computer up. Well, I've done last time.
That's what Bruce did.
Right click, rotate.
Do you ever catch yourself touching the screen when it's not really a touch screen?
This is.
Now you're all throwing things at me. I'm starting to get scared.
Oh, this,
Look at that, look at that. Are you getting this,
the,
Alex, are you getting all this?
the restaurant tax.
Yes.
So on the revenue, it talks about Morehead Restaurant Tax Tourism, Morehead Restaurant Tax MCC. So one's the conference center, one's tourism.
Right, we split it. Well, we lower that split every year. That's something that I started when I started the tourism director. We started lowering that so that the tourism gets more than the conference center because it's starting to become self-sufficient.
So total, we took in from the restaurant tax about $1.3 million, 1.3 million? Okay.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're running right on, we always were kind of conservative in that area because, with the economy, we didn't know, but we're running right on track with it. So I've been very pleased with how it's operating.
And each year it has increased.
Yes, each year it has increased. So.
Debt services?
Yes, debt service is going down.
Significantly since,
Yes, the conference center is running itself, and that's what we needed.
that's good.
Yeah. So,
Anything else for Joy? Thank you, Joy.
thank you.
All righty, then, did we not get utility plant board? We didn't get one, did we?
Glenn,
They didn't send it. Glenn, you wanna give us a?
what's happening with the plant board?
Plan board, well, this is gonna be tough, because first we didn't get minutes, the second I was not able to be at this meeting. But I will give you some updates, what's going on. We had a lovely little reception for Mike on the 30th. It went very well. If anybody came with the Dave Manners thing, it was kind of like that. Really nice of him to do that. I think he was very touched and very deserving evening for him. We are in the process of the search. As of this morning, not giving names or anything, but the team that's looking at that has narrowed it down to 5 possible applicants. We got applicants from all over the country, not just state, but all over the country. So we're excited to start that process. That's literally all I know, because I could not be at that meeting.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Morehead State. Jim?
I guess that's me.
That's you, Jim.
Well, thanks for having us, we appreciate it. Do all of you know about the Craft Academy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Congratulations.
our first 60 young people moved in yesterday, and they went through their induction ceremony, and there were a lot of teary-eyed parents who dropped off their children. But the program is underway, and I think that not only will it really help the region and the state, but it's going to help Morehead, because now next year you have 120 young students out here spending money and doing things as well. So we think it's going to be a very important program. I think you also know that the Governor's Scholars Program was renewed for us, so we'll have it for 3 additional years, which is good news as well. And that's another great program, right?
Yes, it is.
By the way, go listen to music at Miss Bishop's place on Thursday nights, because she's got some great entertainment there. If you haven't, a lot of our students play there. So we took several groups overseas this summer, including a tour of China with a group of traditional musicians to several universities. We had folks, the gospel choir went to Costa Rica. We had several people in Europe and other places. So the students are out and about and doing good things, and it casts a good light on Morehead every time they're out there. I was gone an awful lot of the summer, and let me tell you what, it's good to get back. This is a good place to be, and a good place to live, and we need to continue to remind ourselves of that. Construction projects. For those of you who've been on campus, you know that the residence halls have started the construction. That's a $17 million piece. The dining hall facility, no, that's more than that, I'm sorry. The dining hall's a $17 million piece. That will start, the dining hall, the parking garage construction will start September, October timeframe. The ADUC facility, a lot of planning going on with that. That's the $49.5 million project, and that'll start in the spring of 2016. And then the new volleyball facility, which will be a national class facility, is under construction right now, and we're doing that a piece at a time as money comes in. So that's pretty much where we are. Move in is Wednesday, Thursday, 2-day period. Friday evening, there'll be an ice cream social for the freshmen out on the lawn by Weatherby and Laughlin, so there'll be a little bit of traffic in that area, and then we're back to school.
I think they got flags hung today.
Flags are out today, yeah. I guess you and athletics worked that, and they look really nice. Thank you for
Well, I
working
think
that
it's
with
going
us.
to be a good welcome back.
Yeah, I think so too. It looks really nice. It looks special as you drive down Main Street. So,
I
sounds
like the
good.
new freeway stop too, Jim.
You know,
I like the freeway stop.
everybody has said the traffic flow works out really well. The only concern that this is a personal concern.
Between Breck and Baird.
Yeah.
As you come down the hill from.
Yeah, that three-way stop works really well there. And then the four-way stop on Main Street seems to be working well for traffic. But I have a little concern about pedestrian traffic there, because that is our main crossing point for students going to the traditional music center and other places. I don't know it's an issue. It may not be an issue, but that would be the one thing that we would like you to look closely at before.
We had those crosswalks pretty well marked.
Oh, yes, I mean, they were.
But you just never get them.
I'll say we'll find out Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, we're gonna find
It's
out.
gonna work, period.
It might be helpful if the police department could
I like that.
Thursday, Friday, just be out watching. I think a lot of folks are doing a quick sort of cruise.
Sure they are.
And,
The tap
but
stop.
all the comments I've heard about the four-way stop have been very positive.
Yeah, right there, that three-way, and it works out, it slows
Mayor
traffic.
pulled out the other day, I stopped and let him out. I started to go, the one behind him didn't think he had to stop.
Well, it's all a learning curve. And,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
is, and so that's the only request that we have, is to take a look at it as far as pedestrian.
Well, Thursday is going to be a huge traffic area for many reasons. That's the second day of move-in, first day of public school. So that Wednesday, Thursday, we'll try to make sure we at least be down that area.
Be a good test.
Yeah, and that's why we did it. We did it 3 weeks early because we wanted to say if it didn't work now, it's not going to work. Well, school's in, we try to get the local community used to it, and then hopefully we can make adjustments. I've heard both positive and negative. It's probably 75% positive to 25% negative, but we've heard both. The bottom line is it's a change, and our goal is to slow it down. And I had an interesting, speaking of that real quick, and he's here, he went and I'm going to let Assistant Chief, who's sitting in for Chief Sexton today, that's Derek Blevins. Derek, explain to him, as you went down and looked and drove down for the speed limit sign, explain what you learned today. Things we take for granted, and we see it every day, and we don't realize.
The speed limit's on Main Street. If you turn from University Boulevard and go west on Main Street, it is actually a 35-mile-an-hour zone from there all the way to the police department, heading west. And on the other side, it's just the opposite. It's 20 miles an hour. So I think those need to at least match.
Life in the fast lane.
I like it. And
Once you get out of town quick.
yeah. And if you're on the sidewalk at, Coffee Tree Books, and somebody goes by you at 35 miles an hour, it feels like they're running 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So that probably needs to be looked at and changed. I think probably for communities all the way up, I would say to at least Speedway, it all needs to be 20 miles an hour. I would
And
think.
because we all know, in reality, if it says 20, people go 30.
That's right.
If it says 35, they go 45. That's just the way it is. So it was interesting to know. We were talking about that today because we know that if you slow down, yes, well, it had to be
First readings.
So anyway, appreciate it, and what we really appreciate, if you would, is have someone to be able to maybe report back from the university standpoint, student standpoint, about
How that's working.
how that's working on the four-way. I think that would be good because we want to make it safer for pedestrians. It's to draw pedestrians safer, slower for people. That's the goal. We don't want to make so in theory, but we gotta get through that and see. So if you'd have some feedback for us, it don't have to wait till September meeting, it can come,
Oh, yeah.
you know, after the first
I'll get
week or
it
so.
to you as soon as
I appreciate
feedback
that.
comes in, not a
Don't you?
problem. One last thing, I think a lot of you know already that we're being recognized both nationally and internationally now because we are the lead agency on a NASA contract to put a satellite around the backside of the moon. It's about a $17.9 million contract, and the folks are working it busily, and that'll just bring more and more recognition and Morehead. So, welcome to Space City East.
There you go.
Great job. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Size of the freshman class?
What's that?
Size of the freshman?
Almost identical to last year, about 1460, 1464, somewhere in there. So not quite what we were hoping for, but right where we expected to be.
How many of those will actually be on campus?
Anybody who lives outside of 60 miles radius. So I can't give you the exact number, but we're not granting very many waivers this year at all, because we want to fill up the residence halls, especially investing as much money as we are in a new residence hall. So you're going to have a significant number on campus.
So correct me if I'm wrong, freshmen and sophomores, you want to stay in?
Under 21.
Right, that's it.
Under 21.
On door,
Right.
on the.
Right. And with the policy this year now has changed a little bit. It's, you spend the full academic year in the dormitory even if you turn 21 during the year.
So if you begin at 20, you stay through.
Exactly, you stay through the year. So if you have a January birthday, you stay until the end of the semester,
Okay.
unless it's waived. So
That number doesn't include online students?
doesn't, no, that 1,400 is new enrollments. Now there may be a few online, but freshmen generally are not distant learning, so.
How many of the governor's scholars, you had 388 here this summer, how many of those did you, well, some of them weren't graduating.
Yeah, they're not ready yet, they're rising seniors, so we'll know that next year. Percentage-wise, I don't have an answer for you about how many actually come here, but we found that we have the greatest success securing students we get them here. Once we get them here and they spend a few days here, they realize what a gem not only the school is, but what Morehead is. And that's partly because of you all and how welcoming you are to them. So
They like downtown.
they do. They do.
Anything else for Jim? Thanks, Jim.
Do we have, in reference to what he said, do we have any signs along Main Street that says anything about, watch for pedestrians at crosswalks or?
New
Is
stop
that
signs
something we
ahead.
can-
Do we have that new stop sign ahead? and new
Because
stop-
we had, it's a college town. We need to educate our people that you're gonna have people walking across. I just wondered a few signs that might help.
Well, yield to pedestrian signs would certainly help
Yeah.
at that four-way stop. If that's what you want.
Yield to pedestrians at crosswalks.
Maybe lighted.
Something just to,
I mean, to educate people, you need
Just-
to get
it's
their
an education
attention. I
process.
mean, yield to pedestrians with some lights around it, I mean, I don't know, is that too hokey? It would get their attention.
We've had a lot of complaints from people walking into the restaurant and the bakery, a lot. They almost got hit
At the crosswalk.
at the crosswalks. And, one faculty member was particularly concerned about handicapped students, blind students, deaf students that can't hear cars coming because some of them blow right on through that light.
Yeah, I think we need
Or
to
the
either
stop
monitor
sign.
it or lights. I mean, we need something to train people. You can't expect people immediately to accept a new habit.
If I could chime in there, I said we probably need to train the people too, because a lot of them are not using the crosswalks.
Oh, sure.
Coming across it there, so that's an issue as well.
I know why we try them.
Yeah, I do too.
Well,
But if you're gonna do one, you're probably gonna do the other,
is, Mayor, we had talked about reinstalling the crosswalk from the Fuzzy Duck over to the Classy, what's the?
It used to,
Something
it
that-
used to be the Dixie
Gypsy
Grill.
Rags.
Yeah, but to the Dixie Grill, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the easy one to remember.
The only problem with that is if you're crossing from where Gypsy Rags is now,
you can't see cars coming. You've gotta be almost out in the middle of the street
That
before
last
you
part-
can see.
But people are doing it anyway, Jen.
I know.
So why not create a crosswalk, at least where it helps, as the chief says, assistant chief says, try and concentrates folks over there. Right now, there is no crosswalk, so it would help channel the folks to the right place.
I'm not opposed to it. I know there are some new, I call them the neon green, neon yellow color up by the share building. You notice the newer crosswalk signs, if you notice those, that they're newer and brighter. The reason we can't install them right now on the always stop is because you have height restrictions on the signs, and where the crosswalk lights that were tied to in sync with the actual light. You know, those are, once you stop the light from changing green to red and yellow, then those stop. But there's not really a good place right now on that area we're looking at that. Greg and I have talked about it. Tim knows what I'm talking about. If you want to speak to that, Tim, you can. About there's not really a good place to put it at the all-way yet. We're still working on that. But as far as, I see what Jan's saying. If you've got anything but a compact car parked in that last parking space by Dixie Grill, it's hard for people to see. I know what you're saying, but
You're already right there. That's not stopping people from crossing
No,
there.
but it's really dangerous, Tom. I did it the other day, I'm gonna tell you, and it.
well, that's why at one time I had brought up.
See,
Yeah, from a safety side, they may be doing it, Tom, but if it's not safe and then we encourage them there, and somebody gets hurt, we take liability.
That's where I had talked about the slow zone. That's where I talked about striping that whole
I
block.
totally disagree with you, because everybody is using that corner now. So you're saying, well, we don't want to have a crosswalk because we don't want people to cross there, but they're crossing there every day.
I agree with him. You put a crosswalk
It's a
there.
corner, it's a corner, so it qualifies as a crosswalk, whether it's a painted crosswalk or not, it is a corner, it's an intersection.
But, in my opinion, if you put that there, and we know it's a dangerous because you can't see and people aren't necessarily gonna slow down until they see you, I would think it would create a liability for us. If they wanna cross at their own will or their own chance, let them. But I don't see us putting a crosswalk there when you can't really tell, and it could be dangerous for them.
They don't stop at the crosswalk that you can see cars coming both ways. And they darn sure aren't gonna stop at one where they can.
Well, that's why I think that area is a very heavily traveled between the two crosswalks, between the two sidewalks. That's
So
why.
we're talking about potentially ticketing jaywalkers.
Well,
Maybe we need to be ticketing the folks who aren't stopping for folks in the crosswalk.
Well, on both. But what I'm saying is, if you if we're going to slow it down to 20 miles an hour, then that's a heavily traveled area there. There's more people probably cross the street at that section than any place in town that I can think of. I may be wrong, but I think it's probably the majority. If we did a quote unquote slow zone and we striped that whole area to look like slow zones where you come up like hospitals and universities and other places have those, if they see that whole block that's yellow striped, caution, then we can put up signs there. That, I think just doing that one, I would rather do the whole section than I would that one, because I think it would be because people, trust me, they don't walk to either sidewalk, they get out of their car, walk straight across the street.
That's exactly right.
So if you wanna make it safe, if we can, then mark all that, stripe that, make it a slow zone, safety zone, I don't know. That's just my idea,
Well,
which would be a compromise with what you're both saying. But
We're gonna find out a lot in the next couple of weeks, or 3 weeks, before we do anything.
I agree.
If the four-way stop doesn't work in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're back to drawing board anyway. So.
that's fine, yeah.
Just
Let's
to
keep-
clarify, you're talking slow zone from crosswalk to crosswalk.
Well,
Okay. Just
Crosswalk to what isn't a crosswalk.
Right.
Crosswalk to where the crosswalk used to be.
Pick a point.
So from always stop to crosswalk.
No.
In front of Fuzzy Duck, period.
No, right, but
What used to be the crosswalk that's blacked out now
From
by
Gypsy
Dixie
to
Grill.
Pasquale's.
The Dixie Grill there.
From Dixie Grill,
It's now
Gypsy
Gypsy
to
Rags.
Pasquale's.
I think
There's
it should
a,
be from the parking
It's-
lot crosswalk.
that's what I was asking.
Yes.
yes, from the parking lot crosswalk to that crosswalk, not all the way up to the four-way stop, all-way
Yeah,
stop.
but that's a
To the crosswalk that's not there.
Oh my gosh.
It's a corner.
All right, we'll look at it later.
Glad I clarified
From the
that.
corner of that block down to the city parking area,
Yeah.
crosswalk.
I mean,
I'll show you.
Okay.
No, I know,
I mean, parking at an angle there is very dangerous, especially if there's a pickup immediately to your right. You're trying to back up, you cannot see, and one time I was just sitting there in my car, I had just opened my door, and this guy came in right to my left, snapped off my door. He said, "Oh, I couldn't see."
Well, Tony Pence and downtown Morehead and
I
that
know.
group,
I know,
we've got a parking, we are looking at that.
Yes.
That is being looked at.
And-
Whether we want to make some of them parallel parking again,
Yeah.
you lose, yeah, you know, that's an idea. We are looking at these type of
I
things.
know you are.
Should make it a lot harder to park. You change it to parallel parking.
I know, yeah.
Well, if you look at parallel parking in front of Holbrook and Border, or Holbrook Drugs, you know, that's still parallel there.
Yeah, but most of those you can just pull into.
Right.
There's
Sometimes.
only one you have to,
Well, that's true, but
It's a difficult thing, because
there's
we have a
not an
little
easy answer.
concentration there. There is
Right.
not an easy answer.
that's a heavily traveled block.
And I know the people that are smarter than I will come up with a great idea.
Well, and is this not part of the vision committees, what we hired, they're looking at all this, because one of the biggest things is we wanted walkability, livability issues.
Right.
So hopefully they'll come back with a design and incorporate at least some of that to give us some pointers.
I know
which way to go.
nobody in Morehead wants to walk a half a block, let alone a block. And, you
That's
know,
why I
and we
get
need a little
rid of all
re-education there. There's a lot happening here. We don't have space for.
When you go to large box stores in the
Yes.
county, you walk farther than a block.
I mean, I know that.
Mhm.
And we're just asking people to walk a block, really.
Yep.
But I know, that's a big step.
No pun intended.
There you go.
The way I do is at my apartments, I've got the guys want to park right in the front door.
Oh, yes.
And they get in a car and they drive all the way across town to go get on the treadmill for 2 hours.
Yeah. If there's any logic in life.
We'll see.
That's right, that's right.
That's nice.
Okay, nothing else in Morehead State, no other comments on the parking at this time with the hallway stops. Let's move into number 9, future growth development projects for the city. Joe?
You have my list. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
The big question, the burning question, is when's, you know what, the last we heard.
Cookout, in the next 45 days should open, barring any other issues.
Unforeseen. I talked to, they had some people sitting out there last weekend before last, taking applications, and they said they hope to open up the workers said they hoping to open up in the middle of September. We'll see. All right. Any questions for Joe? All right, we'll move on to number 10, ratification of payment of monthly bills and statements.
I have some questions.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
It's a
I had
motion
Helen
first.
print this out for me.
Oh, okay. Do we have a motion?
Like
Do we
this.
have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All righty.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you all. Thanks, Billy.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Dave. Any discussion? Go ahead, Jan.
Chief, why did we have to tow engine 11?
We were at the training academy, and coming out of the training
Thanks, sir.
academy, the was during a storm. Truck slid over in a dangerous situation beyond our skills to get it out. So we safely called a tow company.
Okay, I just want
Been any damage?
wrecked another one.
Yes. So no damage to the truck by doing it that way instead of trying to force it out ourselves.
But it's weather related too, because of how wet it was.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse.
At this point, I don't think I,
What he charges.
oh, how much was that contract for dashboard? I tried to go back and look and it doesn't say.
It's like 14,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like $1,100 a month on that.
Which was about,
Yeah, well, why we appropriated 25 and spent 19?
Well, we paid for July and August.
But that's only $2,200, 23.
I don't know, is that correct?
Well, that's what it's got on here, dashboard.
How much?
What page, John?
That's, page 1,
Do we-
but then
Page
it's,
one, page 4, yeah, okay.
it starts over several times.
Did we pay a year's worth? We paid,
6 months?
No, because we paid 2 months,
We only pay
a day apart.
they gave, we didn't get the first invoice for July until then. And by the time we got that invoice and got everything, the contract and everything signed, then we got the next invoice for
Okay,
August.
and then it says we've budgeted $25,000 and we've already spent 19.
No,
That's year-to-date balance.
that's what's
That's
left.
Oh, that's what's
That's
left.
the
Never mind,
balance.
never
Your
mind,
other
never
question
mind,
too
never
that we
mind.
had
Never
earlier.
mind.
Yeah,
That's what's remaining.
yeah. And there was also,
And then contracted IT services.
That answers your other
Before we
question too.
contracted.
All right.
yeah,
That was before we contracted.
Okay. All right, Lytle's Pest Control, where all do they spray?
Here.
Both fire stations
and
here.
they spray the police
They
station
spray,
too?
they spray at Perkins.
I didn't observe them doing it, they may have, I don't know.
Perkins Center as well?
I think we just need to keep a list of those locations.
I think, yeah, they're probably on here, they may be listed separately.
Can you tell by the count numbers? 10, 20, 40, 70, is that the,
That's the location,
so 10 is what, here?
It's here,
20 is,
police.
police.
40 is,
I mean, just us look at quick, so.
Yeah, rec is 50.
Okay, I don't think I had any more questions,
Fire.
particularly on
That might be
this,
something
but I
if you
do
gave
have
us.
questions on,
the breakdowns of locations.
I was just saying that'd
That-
be a good idea.
That's one of the things I do come up with, and they can look at the count number and they know exactly what that means.
That'd be a good idea with this report, I can do that.
Just create a key so they know.
Yep.
on Sam's Club, there's one bill. The date is June the 30th, and it's for merchandise / consumables. And it's for $1,399.44, and Brad Collins' name's on it. Would somebody like to explain that one to me?
The count started there, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, all these others have Greg Jones on it. One has David Morris. But
What are you looking at, the Sam's?
the
Club?
Sam's Club,
What page?
would be the third page of that.
I've got 3 of 5 or
3 or 4.
there's.
There's a lot more than that.
Well, not on Sam's Club, there's only 4 pages.
I got more than 4.
On
Not
Sam's
all
Club.
Sam's, those are Sam's, Walmart, and Lowe's together.
Yeah.
Is the card, do we just have a card still in his name?
I would have to check into that, I don't know, I don't know that. I'm not sure which account this is, this was done before this charge was done before I started doing the bills.
Could
Unless
you
that
get
was-
back to us on this?
Yes,
Yeah,
unless
I
that
can
was just an
look
old
it up.
card, yeah, we can check that out.
Is that the table for the Perkins Center?
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
How can you tell?
you bought 28 of them, didn't you?
That was, Greg or?
But this just says 1 inch, $13.99.44.
Yeah, but they bought 20, what'd you do, buy 24 or 28?
I don't know exactly how many, but.
That's back in
Seemed
the
like it was
original,
the price.
original document here.
Seemed like that was
If you
the
look at
price.
Walmart or something, it talks about tables, 24 tables, I think.
Greg special ordered those, so there was a hold on them. He special ordered them to get them in before the end of the budget to get those tables.
I wonder if the original Sam's Club contract was when Brad was here maybe, and because he had to order them and then go pick them up with a credit card. Yeah, we'll look into that. See what
I
that
just
is.
found it interesting.
Well, no, it is.
That's what it is.
But shouldn't there be an individual ticket for those tables?
If you look at
What?
the
I
big
see
group,
it.
the overall group under
Because of
Walmart,
the
or you
special
approve
order,
them,
they may have
there's
went back
one
to
down
it.
there
That
for,
may be what's on there. Somehow he's on the account.
there's one realistic on
What do you think I
there.
said?
Walmart, I think.
No. No, I said Greg ordered.
It's down toward the bottom.
For the record, I'm pretty sure that Sam Americanos does not have a card.
It would be helpful, Helen, when you send these out, if these pages had your number on them, if you handwrite them in when you scan them in, that way we can all, it makes it easier. So look at page 13 at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, all right.
All right, it's
My
28
next-
tables at the bottom of the second page. It's under Sam's Club Direct, it's 28 tables, $13.99.44.
Right, 20 tables.
Tables and chairs.
What he done, he done that before July the 1st.
Yeah.
June 30th, yeah.
June
About
30th.
30th, yeah.
Yep.
because it came out of
Okay.
last year.
Because you got last year's budget to finish out.
Out of last year's budget
Exactly.
to this year.
So is Brad's own budget.
I just found
No,
that.
that's, we will definitely look that up, figure out what's going on there.
On Walmart, I thought that each of the department heads were supposed to sign off on these. But I don't see any department heads signed off on any of these, and I have some questions, like, well, who bought a 24-inch TV? Vizio.
With PG on it.
On page, well,
Guess what, she printed them off.
Yeah, she could print. I tried to print some things.
If you look back in the payment, it'll be under that.
Yeah, that's, if you could find it on the payment.
We do sign off on every
Because they're all coded on the payment sheets, the reports, the council approval reports, they have all of the, if you're looking at a statement, they have all of the checks for the state, and they have them coded out to what department.
okay.
So authorized buyer is 06000, who would that be?
See, I don't know by that number, I would know by the account number for the department.
Okay, well, that's,
And
I
that
just
would be
wondered
under-
who bought a TV, what we needed a TV.
Did Greg buy that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's his computer, he uses it as a computer monitor on his desk,
Okay.
in his office.
Okay. Now,
Pretty
then,
short.
on June the 9th, somebody got a 20-ounce Dr. Pepper, 8-piece boneless plate. I haven't deciphered that yet, and a 2-ounce marinara sauce for a total of $9. Now, that sounds like a meal to me.
Maybe for the president.
Maybe the inmate.
They bought one inmate meal?
Yeah,
If they only
was
had-
it $9?
Yeah.
If you look on here under Walmart, it says inmate lunches, hangers for maintenance.
They only had one inmate, okay.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm going like, I
Sometimes we
mean,
got one,
nobody had
sometimes we
signed
got
off on
two.
these, so I didn't know.
If it's ours.
This is just where you're entering it into the computer system.
I mean, they all have POs, they all sign for
That's the
POs.
statement, that they signed the
Okay.
PAS, and they
We
signed.
sign every-
Because there's several on here that was just one lunch or 2 lunches.
And that's for the inmates, and it depends on who's working with them that day.
Okay,
This is actually what's put into the computer, and we're getting a print off. The PO is a separate sheet of paper.
The PAS, yes.
okay.
What it is, a lot of the inmates got out, and we're only getting 1 or 2 now, but
Okay.
we have 2 different people. So
Okay.
They got out in the good sense, they were released.
That
Yes.
takes them to get their meals.
Okay. All right, I don't have any more
And
questions.
those are the majority of the ones that we talked about, like you talked about working for the public works, and recreation and public works. And those are spots that we didn't have to use for seasonal help this
See,
year.
we used to hire a couple seasons ago, we didn't this year.
So that saved us quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
I have no
They
more
helped out a
questions.
lot when it flooded,
well, they
the
did.
inmates did.
Both recreation and, okay. Anything else?
Thanks, Jan, for all your questions.
Yes.
You need a motion?
We've got a motion, we've got a second, we had discussion, if we know whether, we'll go ahead and call roll. Everybody good? Please call roll.
Adkins?
Yes.
Bishop?
Yes.
Korea?
Yes.
Francini?
Yes.
Beasley?
Yes.
Teeger?
Yes.
Alrighty, we'll move into the general business as part of the agenda. Unfinished business. Under A1, second reading of an ordinance amending the City of Morehead, Kentucky annual budget for fiscal year 7/1/15 through 6/30/16 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government.
Skipped one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna
skip
say, we
one.
haven't done the first reading.
Recreation and local agreement.
Yeah. 11A, unfinished business.
First reading.
Right book, yeah.
So it's really-
Ordinance amending the interlocal agreement between Ryan County and Kentucky and the city of Morehead.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's not on mine, okay. Alright,
I already read it.
alright, go ahead.
So I'd just like to,
We
I have a
got
question.
motion in a second.
we've got a motion and a second, so
What was it?
time for discussion.
I made the motion.
Bruce.
Bruce seconded.
And having read all the attachments, the original agreement and this interlocal agreement is really limited in its scope. We're essentially special purposes. And the reason I want to highlight that is we are not yielding any authority to the county to spend our recreation budget. Since they choose to contribute so little to recreation, we're still carrying the weight and the burden of basically 90+% of the recreation budget. We're hoping that they'll be enlightened and through this process of a joint committee will help plan for future recreation and hopefully contribute to future recreation.
But basically, this committee, this interlocal cooperative agreement and committee is to just explore recreation needs.
And to look for opportunities.
Right.
And/or needs for facilities. I could see, if we talked about Sunnybrook, and that's an example, that they would be looking into that, and possibly water facilities, whatever down the road. Exactly, they would be looking into what they think the needs of the community, wants of the community.
And it's a good place to begin.
It is.
I mean.
It is. And it'll be four representatives by the county, 4 for the city, and then 1 jointly. So, we won't know till next Tuesday whether they approve it, which is when they have their next meeting, week from tomorrow.
At least it gets them to the table.
Exactly.
I mean, we made all the changes.
Made all the changes they requested, because we'd sent them from what we talked about last meeting, and Joyce and Cecil worked together, and we think we have the language that they can live with, so we'll see what happens at the
It's a
fifth
place,
court
it's a
meeting.
place to begin.
I think so.
Tough question.
Question has been called. Go ahead, please. Call roll, please.
Well, parliamentary point, do we need to vote on calling the question?
No.
Yes. Get your weeds before you can roll.
Bishop,
Yes.
Crew,
So he missed July, he's all fired up today.
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
He's been chomping at the bit.
You're right, Calder West doesn't mean anything.
Isley,
Yes.
Teeger,
Yes.
All right, next is the second reading, am I right?
Although,
Yes. Of the, an ordinance amending the City of Morehead, Kentucky annual budget for.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
We added an additional amount for the animal shelter. Is that correct?
We brought it back
brought
up.
it back to what it originally was.
Okay.
Last year.
I didn't remember we had cut that.
Which we did very early in our budget discussions, Tom. I think the first time we met.
Yep.
I think.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
There were 3 salaries in there that had a small adjustment. What prompted that? There were 3 county budgets amended, and then there were 3 salaries, or that were amended. Three workers.
At the doctor?
No.
No, there was a general labor one, there was a communications officer.
And I just
and
wondered
don't remember the
why
other.
we adjusted those
labor
3,
one.
what prompted it?
2 of them were part-time, and 1 is a communications officer. She's right, I have the same note. There's a communication, I don't want to use a name, there's a communication officer.
I couldn't
Oh,
imagine.
oh.
It says labor
That was
one,
The first 2 of them are part-time, so I didn't have much question about that. There was a communication officer that we added $790.
I just wondered
We-
what prompted it.
Well, the communication officer, if I'm correct, that was a bonus or not bonus, an additional amount of money that was awarded going through the 911 board, am I right?
Yes, Jan.
The 911 board gave them a raise. Is that the correct language?
It's not the director,
It's not the director.
it's not the director.
Assistant.
communications officer, an additional $790.40.
Right.
The assistant director.
Is that the assistant
Was
director?
it in your first reading?
If I was able to
I
load
know.
this up, I'd be able to read it, but
Just like that.
You-
Say you go like that.
Place it.
Wagner.
That is 2
We weren't
things.
using the name.
I can probably chime in.
Hold on.
Mine doesn't work. Oh, I'm sorry.
She
No.
was hired, she had experience when we hired her,
I cannot, no, because,
and I
okay,
think,
how do I get it to
uh,
that form?
after she
Open it.
completed her FTO process and all that, we raised her salary up to match the other officer, or other communications officer with the same amount.
So it was based on what she got through her probation?
I'm pretty sure that's what that is. She was a dispatcher already.
You got a different format.
That's something we have to check on.
That was, I'm pretty sure that was not reflected in the first budget, and it was something that we had done, I think, before the end of last year, we gave her that.
I asked Joni if there were any changes from first reading, and then
Because I remember Chief Sexton saying that he needed to get that amended.
Well, I say we approve it, but it may come back to us for another second reading next month.
You know what I was talking about, Bruce. That's what I thought.
That's better.
But it wasn't that. It was,
Can you see me?
No, it's the assistant.
yes. That's part of why there was confusion. I don't think it was the first one.
And the last one was $208 for labor at the
Yeah, I mean,
court
there
center.
weren't much, I just wondered why we picked these, or how these came to light, that they needed to be adjusted.
I'll show you after a while.
I didn't know there were any changes.
I didn't either.
I thought we'd done that before the end of last year, and I really just don't think it was reflected in the new budget year.
What was the other?
There was two
part-time.
Two part-times.
Well, I know
Would those be,
One was the labor one at the community center, $312.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Yes.
they're not
I think
much,
it's all,
yes.
Well, the other one we done.
That would have been,
I don't think so.
I know so.
And then the other one,
Okay, good.
I don't think.
also, seems like 24 hour week,
Because
16 hours a week, labor one, you know, also for $208. So is he split between two places?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's all
Yes.
in.
yes.
So you're only talking about two people, but it's in 3 lines.
We'll check it out and see.
But that,
But if that was not in our first reading, we have to do it again.
exactly. For that section, okay. So we do.
We have to vote.
Go ahead and vote on this and then go back. Any other questions about that before we? Okay, call roll please.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
yes.
Peru,
Yes.
Tanzini,
Yes.
Isley,
Yes.
Teeger,
Yes.
All right, next will be resolution accepting bid and awarding communication franchise.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
That was the Windstream was the only
The
bid.
only one that. All right, hearing none, please call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Thanks for calling, Robert.
Yes.
Peru,
Yes.
Tanzini,
Yes.
Isley,
Yes.
Teeger,
Yes.
Did I say yes? Yes. Thank you.
They do. See, Andy's with it, Andy's to it.
You bought them.
All right, that's a new business.
Go to the top and click
Now,
it
with
out.
the old business, it's
That's
about
why you-
the voting rights.
Oh,
Right there,
yes.
so just let it. If you're here, you just go on the right.
The, next is the, resolution on the voting house and real estate property.
Oh, you missed one.
That's next.
No, it didn't.
Resolution accepting bid and awarding.
We just did
Oh, we
this.
did that, oh, never
You
mind.
was asleep during that time.
No, she's watching me try to get this screen to change.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a huge problem with this.
Okay.
Is this the only one in the city left?
Yeah.
Is there very few left in the county?
I
One
think
other left in the city.
it's the only one that's not privately owned in the city.
You know, I can remember as a very small child going with my parents there to vote. It sits on the corner of a heavily traveled street, 2nd Street. You know, we're gonna surplus it and probably get very little money from it. To me, that is a perfect place to clean up and it be something very nice to look at as you go by instead of, telling what going up there.
We are gonna set a minimum bid on
Would
And-
set that
and-
by the administrative staff, because you don't want
And I don't personally.
It's a piece of our history, and we've gotten rid of so much.
it. So was the big store.
I had nothing to do with that.
I'm gonna bring it, can I tell you how it came up? Can I bring up how it came up to begin with? There's an adjacent landowner that would like to clean it up, keep it, and just kind of restore it and keep them, and there's not anybody wants, that's how it originally came up. Well, obviously, you can't pick and choose, so we go through the process of what we're doing now. But that's how it originally came up. The person who had interest in it was an adjacent landowner who said, look, they like the house, they wanted to clean it up, paint it, and use that, do whatever. So,
Have we had it appraised?
no.
I really don't care if it's appraised or not, I don't think we should let go of it.
Cost you more to appraise it than you get out of it.
I don't think we should
we
let
already
go of it.
No, that can't be
So
the,
the dates aren't right.
if that's all it's gonna cost, then
No,
I'm
you
gonna bring
can't.
it Beth and not
They
sell
don't
it.
say July 13th, so it's already done.
The appraisal?
She used the,
No, it says in here that we resolved that the property shall be sold and sealed bids.
That
It
was
must
a-
be accepted by July 13th.
and she
Bids
used
shall be
the
opened on
old
July 13th.
resolution. That's the one that you all postponed, and she didn't change it.
That's what's postponed.
So if we
We can
approve this,
change
we have
it.
to change the date.
I moved to table.
I moved to
Well, I mean.
not do it.
I may not do it.
Well, we can just call for a
I mean,
vote.
what kind of money would we,
We've got a,
what kind of money?
we've got a motion, all we gotta do is vote it down.
That's right.
Let's say, God, I mean, my thought on this, I don't care how much money. This is the last one, our city limits. You got someone who was brought up because they wanna fix it up. What happens if they sell and the next person comes in?
Yeah.
Or they do whatever? I mean, this is, yeah.
And they're not guaranteed to get it.
Well, then we need some kind of a sign that explains what it is.
It's fine.
I mean, I
But
just
this
think
is
we need to-
something that could be very well taken care of and look very
It
nice
could be
on Second Street instead of who knows what there. This is, I mean, I don't even know how small. When was that given to us? It was given to us free, wasn't it?
By the county.
How long ago?
Do you know, Joe?
About 6, 7 years ago.
And
No,
nothing.
how long has that voting booth been?
Oh,
in?
2009 it was
Long
given to us.
time.
It was
I
given
don't
to
know
us
how-
in 2009.
How old's the voting booth though?
When was Bluestone Stone in?
Yeah.
Well before my time.
Probably in the 30s.
Well, let's vote. I think we
All right.
do all.
Call roll.
Atkins,
No.
Bishop,
No.
Curry,
No.
Francini,
No,
Isley,
No.
Teeger.
Go ahead and say yes.
I don't want to say yeah.
but I think we should do something with it then, rather than just.
That's my problem with it.
Well,
It's
just
not
sit
that I
like
think we should
sit.
get rid of it. We should have some protection in it, but I also don't think it's another project for the city to maintain forever.
Right, I mean,
I'd much rather, lease it for $1 a year to somebody with restrictions on it,
exactly.
to use it for something, and we have a guarantee. But I don't think it's fair to keep putting it on Public Works to make sure that that property is maintained.
Who owns the park as we come into town, the flowers and the, I'm sorry.
The
I-
city.
The cities.
No,
The
it's
city.
state right away.
But
States.
there's several flower clubs
Clubs that work out.
that work out.
I assure you, they do not want another site. I mean, they are struggling with their small
They are,
membership
and
to
that's the
manage.
problem. To
Fountain
find
Park.
somebody that's gonna do something with it.
Put a hookah bar.
Let's worry about that later anyway. Next.
They would have a smaller system that they would need to put in.
Next.
Maybe a small one.
Now we're on to new business.
New business. Ordinance amendment, TLD policy.
So,
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I had a question
the way I read it, we basically had to do it.
on it. I think that was my question. We have to do this?
The Supreme Court changed their opinion.
Well, you don't have
Supreme
to
Court
always.
has done a lot of
Have to do it.
screw that thing.
No, it's Kentucky Supreme Court. You could create some liability for the city.
This here ain't,
TLD policy.
ain't nothing but,
Oh, this one.
hurt your finger and don't work for 2 or 3 weeks and get paid for it. I just can't,
They've repealed it, other cities have repealed it, and they're hoping the legislature will deal with
I
it.
can't see this.
Well, we've had people, I don't know if it was a work injury, but we've had people off on injury that could
Exactly.
come back for light duty. But if it's a work injury and they come back, they would get their salary plus 66 2/3 of their average salary
Exactly.
under the new decision. So, I don't know if we've ever used it, but it's on there.
So are you saying we must comply?
Well, there's nobody that says you have to repeal it. Most cities are repealing it until it gets fixed.
I see.
So we can,
You can vote whatever you want.
Again, for clarification, since I don't have what you have, TLD policy.
Temporary limited duty, return to light duty.
Was opposed to delete it, the policy.
Yeah, in
Sheila,
previous-
just for point of clarification, you're not getting a packet with all this information in it?
Larry and I just switched,
all right.
so
He's good.
and
The
I've
process
emailed
is-
Joni and we're good. I just, for this one,
Okay.
thank you. And I'll talk a lot less since I know everything before I come in.
You know, in my previous employment, if you were hurt off the job, you were not eligible for light duty. But if you were hurt on the job, then you were eligible.
And what
for
they're
light duty.
saying is what the case came out of is when the person came back, they were given light duty. But in the regular duty, they were getting overtime. So that 66 2/3% of their average wages included their overtime wage.
Now, is that not workers' comp?
That's, yeah, but when they come back to light duty, they lost that, so they lost more money, because they weren't getting their overtime, because they were on light duty. So the court said, well, you have to pay them that 66 2/3 of their average, plus you've got them back on light duty, so you pay them their salary.
Well, I thought if you were on workers' compensation, either you got workers' comp and you were off duty, or you took your salary.
This
This
is a
is
workers'
what
comp.
this decision said, you get both.
Oh, never mind, I'll show you.
Yeah, because you probably would have been getting, when you're on light duty, you're not gonna get your overtime.
Okay, I
But
understand.
if you were getting your 66 2/3, that may include overtime and then
Okay.
get more money.
any more discussion?
Question.
Question's been called, please call roll.
Atkins,
No.
Bishop,
No.
Crew,
Yes.
Franzini,
No.
I'm not sure.
Easley.
I know, there's.
Explain if we're voting this up or down.
You're voting
Yes
to
is to
repeal
delete it.
Yes is to delete it, no is to keep it.
Then I want yes.
Well, then I want you.
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
let's do
It's
this.
just
I
really
don't
good.
understand what you're doing.
Yeah,
Well, that's it. I
That's
didn't
why-
The very
yeah.
top
The
says,
ordinance is to delete.
personnel put temporary limited duty policy by deleting policy in its entirety.
Yeah, but I thought we was deleting the bottom part.
No, we're deleting the whole policy.
Where she's got it marked out.
Yeah.
Which is what other cities are doing and waiting for the legislature to work this
Well,
out.
then I apologize
for staring at me like that.
for reading wrong.
So
Let's
if we vote
start
yes,
with,
it's voting to repeal it.
yeah,
Am I
so
right?
let's vote again.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Crew,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Teeger.
Yes.
Yay! Item 2, under new business resolution to
So
surplus
moved.
property, police department, police
Second.
guns, any discussion? Please call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Crew,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Teeger.
Yes.
Item 3, resolution to surplus property and police
So
department.
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Crew,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Teeger.
Yes.
Item 4, resolution to surplus property and recreation department diving boards and ladder.
So moved.
Second.
Any
Is
discussion?
this new to not what's on there? Not what's selling now?
No, the diving board and ladders is what's selling. Yes, the
I
chairs
haven't-
and ladders are what's on there now. The diving board and ladders, that's new.
Okay.
That's
Right.
not on there.
I haven't seen it
Yeah, those are
on
new.
there.
Please call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Crew,
Yes.
Franzini.
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Teeger.
Yes.
Item 5, resolution on surplus property, recreation department ladders and chairs.
Those are on
Those are on there now.
They're on good deals.
Yeah, they're already on there.
What if we say no?
Yeah.
We'll pull them
there.
off.
We can pull them off.
So moved.
We'll pull them off so quick that people won't understand. All right,
Just
any
vote in
discussion?
Why, yeah, why are they on there and
There
not?
was a mistake, because when you did the pumps in May or April, and then Tina left, and there was a mistake in.
Well, I thought our motion was for all the pool stuff.
No, it was just for pumps and something
Well,
else.
pumps and equipment, the chairs and
No, they were
ladders.
listed, they were
Okay,
listed behind,
okay.
but when David sent over the pictures, he included the chairs and said, I'm gonna surplus these also, but then there was some confusion with changing who did.
And we wanted to make sure that it was
Lifeguard chairs,
No, they're pulled.
No, they're pool chairs.
deck chairs, lounge chairs. And we wanted to make, that's why there was, for clarification, that's why we went back and did it like this way. Because the original one was for the pump room equipment.
And you notice you have given us permission to set reserves.
Yeah, that one looks like you're gonna keep.
Any other discussion? Please call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Franzini,
yes.
Beasley,
Yes.
Teeger,
Yes.
Item 6, municipal order,
Shoot some ladders, man.
approve amended Morehead Police Department's policy number 7, firearms.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Question, it says that the policy or part of the policy is attached, do you all have that?
Yeah, just keep going
Yeah.
down. Open
You
it.
just-
It's like 10 pages.
It's
You
all
open
on
it?
there.
Yeah.
Open it.
Open it, I got it,
Well, hit open it.
okay,
You see that? Now click over to your
Oh,
right.
never mind.
There's like 10 pages.
no more questions.
8 pages, sorry.
Any discussion?
So it looks like the way we're writing this gives us a little more flexibility to change in the future.
It had guns, the
Yeah.
exact weapons, and now
Yeah.
it's just saying the issued ones.
But we are staying with the clock no matter what.
Yeah.
Because I did think that was interesting that,
A lot of it, I think, had to do with ammunition also,
Yeah.
instead of, because in the past, we've had trouble getting maybe a particular type of ammo, and then we'd have to go back and redo our policy just to use a particular whatever, you know.
Any other questions? We good? All right, call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Beasley,
Yes.
Teeger,
yes.
Item number 7, appointment to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, Randy Steele replacing
So moved.
Jack Roll.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Beasley,
Yes.
Teeger,
Yes.
Item 8, municipal order appointing to the Housing Authority of
So
Morehead,
moved.
Walter Gullett replacing
Second.
Sue Wells. Any discussion? Please call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Correa,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Beasley,
Yes.
Teeger.
Yeah.
Number 12, other city business, old or new? Anything?
I've got a couple things.
Yes, sir.
April Haight contacted me today. She's not able to be here today, but she has been working with Department of Fish and Wildlife, who are interested in doing some stream bank improvement on Triplet Creek. And Janet she said she was gonna try and talk to you. So I think what she wants to know from us, Fish and Wildlife wants to know, is this something we want to pursue? And then they'll put together a formal presentation to bring before us. Go ahead,
They-
Jen.
Well, there's actually 4 entities involved. Division of Water, Fish and Wildlife.
That's who has to approve it all. right?
Yeah, but there's $1 million here, and it would go all the way from, there's a small piece at Sunnybrook that the university's involved with, and then from Dwayne Allen's property to,
Talking about by the
To the
tobacco warehouse
dam.
property? Okay.
Well, actually past the city garage.
To City Garage, yeah, that's where the other end of it
Old city
was.
garage.
But if Dwayne Allen has said that he's agreeable to this, and the only other entity would be us, and if we're not agreeable to it,
And the university is.
yeah, but that's up at Sunnybrook, yeah.
Well, no, the university has property.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
okay.
Is
but
it
that
erosion
was-
mitigation or something like that?
It's primarily erosion mitigation.
Yeah,
There would be so one of the concessions that we would have to make as a city is creating a 50-foot permanent buffer. They typically ask for 100, but they're willing to go with a 50-foot buffer.
On the bank?
Up on the bank, yeah.
And it,
So what does that do to like where we took the pool out? How close? How much of that would we lose?
Well, I would guess there we'd lose 50 feet. Joe?
50 foot would take you over past the fence that we installed.
Right.
On the pool.
So by buffer, that mean no permanent?
Joe, you've been working with her as well?
Looking at it, the only concern I have was if we do the 50-foot area, we're talking even below the dam, that area in there would be forested. I understand the mitigation for holding the banks in and everything, but where that area is cut and maintained by Public Works through there, I'd like to look a little more at what they're exactly wanting to do than, I'm not opposed to it, but I really would like to know what they're doing when they say forestation. Is it gonna cause us problems and issues of getting into the locations to remove debris that gets caught in there?
I think those are good questions, and again, we're not approving this tonight. We're just being asked, is this something we would be interested in? Because we're getting quite a bit of erosion along the bank, and this would help us pay to get that stabilized.
Well, you've got several other owners involved there too.
Yeah.
You've got Addie Plank, you've got Stephen Kenny Taylor, Jim Tom Call,
Thank you.
Keith Pack, Arch Johnson, the county,
School district.
school district.
they were also looking at Robin, stabilizing the creek coming down through Robin, where
Mark
it,
Bridge.
yeah, where it feeds into Triplet.
Was this in sections, or was this the entire run of so many miles? Joe?
I believe it was sections.
So it wasn't the whole?
No,
so
it's
it may
not the
I see
entire
what-
run, it is in sections from my understanding.
But you got people on both sides there that own that. from the
Again, this
lands.
isn't a done deal, it's, I think.
Well, I understand,
Yeah.
but these people need to be aware of this stuff if they're gonna.
So if we said we were interested, but we need this type of information, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're interested, but we need to know what for
And
sure.
she said she has tried for years to get Fish and Wildlife in here to do this, because they've got the money and they can get in the creek and clean all those,
Islands?
And can they
islands
dredge with it?
out, yeah.
And what's the barrier there? Just headache, red tape, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah,
Well, they have-
because if they're with the Division of Water, all of these contribute to the fund, this $1 million fund, but they have got $1 million that they can spend in Round County to help stabilize
The banks.
the banks. And I think it is sections, you know, like, it may not include that section where all those people own, you know,
Well, that, Dwayne is on the other side of them, on all of
Wayne's
them.
on, well,
He's on the south
See,
side.
he goes from the
I
city
guess
park
that's true
to
too.
Well, would it
Christie
be,
Creek.
would it be just his side of the creek?
I don't know, I didn't,
I don't think we need to, I don't think we have to solve that tonight. I
it's
think
just,
we're being asked, are we willing to entertain a proposal that would help us stabilize the bank, stabilize erosion? They don't have all the answers yet. If we're totally dead set against it, then they don't want to waste their time.
I think we should be, I think we should vote affirmative on this kind of thing, just because if there's any chance of getting that kind of money from them through April or however, I think we should work on it. I mean, we were just talking about our flooding situation, and all this is connected, in my opinion. I'm no expert on
Would do
this.
anything, just say that we're interested to
I'll
start more, how about that?
proposal.
Okay. Don't want to come in.
Can someone get to April on that? Would the minutes reflect
I have
that?
to talk to
Joe?
her tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Then
I have one other thing, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So we had appropriated some money in this year's budget for trail work. And Scott Davison contacted me to find out, well, how will that money come? How will we channel it? What department is responsible for it? The main reason is, Carolyn, you help me here, there's a particular application that's available to us that requires matching money, and the city's already putting in some matching money. So he just wanted to see who he needs to work with.
Would he send us would we get since we've already appropriated, will we just get a request or a bill or something from his organization? It's Triplet Creek,
Triplet Creek
right.
Trail.
I guess he would
but-
just send the city a request for funds, wouldn't it?
This is different.
Oh, okay.
This is the Transportation Alternatives.
Oh, okay.
It's a grant that he would like.
The city to apply for.
Yes, he'd like the city or somebody, some representative from the city to assist. I mean, some collaboration here on applying for this grant. And, everybody's.
So who should he work with? That's.
Yeah, how should he?
Is the old T money? Is that what,
It's called Transportation Alternatives.
it's that enhancement grant money?
Yes.
We just need to,
Here it is.
have a support letter for it. We need to actually,
What are you asking for? Is he wanting help writing it, or?
Yes.
is that what it is? Oh, okay.
And we'll recommend you, Joe.
Well, we can,
How about if we have him contact you, Joe?
and we can all work, we can all
Yeah.
work on
And
it.
start that there.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
And he's got, I'm sure there's a deadline, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Sure, yeah, right.
Okay, we don't know what it is right now, though?
The applications will be accepted August 1st through September 30th, so.
Okay, all right.
fast.
Just have him get in touch with us then.
Okay.
I didn't know if something he already had, he just needed support, I didn't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, grants, as we all know, can take a lot of work,
They do.
so,
Okay,
let's see.
all right. Anything else?
I looked up the first reading of the budget, and those two employees' pay rates were,
Okay. So we're good?
yeah, it says it.
Are we going around the table, or what are you doing?
I'm going to, I was just gonna see if we had anything else, but over noon we'll go on around.
Actually, I've got some things.
Go ahead.
Well, let's go back to Main Street. We've already talked about the four-way stop. But the university has taken so many parking places out of service, and they have not put any back in, that if Main Street, if we thought we had a problem on Main Street up to this point, I think it's gonna be doubly bad this winter and spring. And I'd like to talk about passes for some of the businesses where they have customers that are gonna come in that are gonna stay longer than 1 hour. They're not gonna be able to move the car. I don't think they're gonna be able to find a parking place. And I've got parking, but I think that this is gonna involve all the way probably down to Arby's or more. Because everybody I've talked to that's got parking places or apartments, there's nothing available anywhere. Apartments, parking, I mean, there's just been an influx and it's all gone. And I think we need to protect our businesses on Main Street and try to help them.
I agree. I mean, the Fuzzy Duck hosts lots of meetings. I bet you 10 to 20 meetings, book group week, book groups, just a number of things. And it's always, I mean, I've been involved in a number of them. You're always concerned about that 1 hour parking. I know I know everybody understands the problem. We just don't quite have an answer to it.
I think it was in the past, well, they will abuse it. Well, if they abuse it, just take their privileges away. But I think we need to do something to help the parking situation on Main Street with college kids. And it's not just college kids, it's gonna be faculty and staff too, because they're taking their parking places just as well, especially on this campus.
How much of the monitoring would be done by the actual business owner? I mean, how would we I don't have a problem with it, but I mean, how monitoring it?
How do we manage it?
How do we manage that to see?
I don't know, I mean, I don't have a plan, I'm just saying, I think we need to have maybe a small committee and come up with
Isn't there a parking committee already?
We do.
of giving passes, a pass or 2 passes or 3 passes, to some of these businesses so they can give them to their customer, and maybe they can put them on the car and our little meter maid will note that there's a parking pass on there and she won't do anything until the second or third hour or whatever. But, you know,
The management of it will be the problem, there's no question about that.
Potential nightmare.
but, yeah, it is, but, you know, if we don't start somewhere, I just think we need to give the merchants help. Because it is gonna be. I just feel like it.
Do you think that, and this is before I came along, do you think the time limit needs to be revisited?
If you make it
We-
2 hours, there'll be more.
Oh, no, I know,
Yeah.
I'm just
We
saying.
have visited that up and down so many times,
Do
and
you think we need to look at, one of the things they looked at, is potential for not necessarily individual meters, but block meters, or do you think we need to look at maybe block meters, where it's, you know, where you have that, and they be able to pay for more time?
We looked at them, they're expensive, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do. I think I brought proposals to the council 4 years ago.
Yep.
They're not cheap, but to me, that's the only way we're gonna solve it.
I mean,
Is you
we're,
make people pay for how long they're gonna stay.
right,
Yep.
that's fair.
And when
That's
that's,
the only fair way to do it.
it wouldn't require.
The students could then students could,
Yes,
they
they can.
could, yes, they can.
but that's gonna defeat your purpose.
But they'd at least be paying at that point.
Another buck, I mean,
I mean, they're doing it now without paying. So you would hope that it would deter a few of
Getting
them.
a ticket, aren't they getting a ticket?
They stay over the time limit.
But they all think they can do it in an hour, and most of them can. I mean, they're going to one class, they park there, they run out, take a
Well-
class, get back, and 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna get caught.
This year, they have changed, it's not Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday, and every other Friday. They have changed that. It's now on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 50-minute classes, which is under an hour. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it is an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, that's gone.
It varies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're a little bit longer on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
but, I mean, if we got a parking committee, shouldn't the parking committee bring forth recommendations?
Yes,
Does this committee meet with any regularity, or?
it's the Morehead tomorrow in downtown Morehead.
Right,
But they only meet once a month, and this is right on us now.
Right. Well, I think this issue has been with us for quite some time, and I think everybody's kind of lived with it in various ways, but I think if we're truly going to support our downtown merchants, I feel this is an issue, and I think everybody would agree. And I don't think there's a perfect answer, but I think we might need to try something new.
Maybe we need to, like we do with the light, trial and error, just to
Yeah.
see. I mean, we don't know until we try things.
I mean,
I think you have a good point. I even thought about having several areas in town, designated where the students could actually buy passes. Not necessarily in front of businesses for all day, but certain areas to help them mitigate the loss of 400 and some parking
Well,
spaces.
There's private parking lots that sell.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah,
They're
there's
all
always-
sold out.
And they're all sold out, every,
Yeah, we
What
just,
about putting the parking back the way it was and in front of the buildings, 2 to 3 parking places, parallel parking places? Let the store,
manage it.
yeah, let them manage it. Go ahead, if they see college kid come in there and pull in, jump out and run, call a wreck or tell them to move.
I'd rather start with the passes first, that's,
How are you gonna keep the passes from being counterfeit?
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Zan, I just don't see that working.
It's a tough thing.
You just-
well,
Yeah,
if they
that's
do, then
I
you
mean-
take it away from them,
But-
if they abuse it.
But who's gonna police that? I mean, it's just tough.
Business, yeah.
I mean, I'll use the Board of Education. They started that years ago, letting, certain people could hand out passes. Well, there's so many passes out now that I don't have a place to park when I get to work. And no one will own up to it, and nobody wants to tell those kids they can't park anymore. And I just think once you hand them to employees,
Well, I mean,
unless you go
It's
with
like a
the
doctor's
ticket
excuse.
and
People just make
validated
copies of
tickets
them.
and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it's a pass, they put it on the car, they bring it back when they get ready to leave, and they give it back to the business owner. I don't know.
They drive away with it,
And they
and use
drive
it the
away
next
with it,
time
and they use
they
it.
come.
Yeah, well, I don't know, I'm just saying, we need to help.
I just have never
business
seen a
owners on
city
Main
that
Street.
does that. So to me, it must mean it doesn't work. I see more and more and more of this, certain stations where you go pay and you say, I'm gonna pay for 2 hours, and you put that ticket in the window.
And we're not talking about,
And you can use a credit
Yes,
card to
and-
pay,
and we're not talking about every block in Morehead, because
No, no.
every block in Morehead is not affected.
2 blocks.
But a couple of blocks that are heavily affected, like we talked earlier,
I
put up a
think,
block.
I think with all the parking spaces that they've taken away at the university, this whole downtown area is gonna be flooded with students and teachers and faculty.
First Street.
Yeah. There's not gonna be,
Well, we've got a process in place with the ticketing, and if that's the case, we'll know the first month, I would think, if that's gonna affect it. If that's gonna affect that, because, I mean, we knew this was coming, but there's no easy answer for it. And we wanna be good neighbors, I mean, we understand the students are, you know, anybody can abuse it, whether somebody goes in and stays somewhere for 3 or 4 hours, but we understand the students, it falls back on them. But at the same time, you know, they are going to school here, and as long as they don't abuse areas, there's not an easy answer.
No, there's no perfect
There's not.
answer.
it's not, I'm just saying, you know.
The most equal thing we got is the 1 hour limit.
Yeah.
That's, treat everybody 1 hour. There are places you can park for 2 hours. I mean, you start doing this other stuff,
It gets very confusing.
it gets really confusing. And I recall, Glenn, when we looked at those particular meters, they wouldn't pay for themselves in 20 years.
Yeah,
Ooh.
You were very
The solar
expensive.
ones were like 20 grand.
yeah.
Oh my.
And we're gonna generate what kind of revenue from?
The other thing I wanted to talk about is there are 4 handicap spaces on Main Street. There's, going west, there's one in front of Pathways, there's one in front of C. Roger Lewis. Coming east, there's one in front of the police department, and there's one in front of in front of the parking lot that's between where Griffith Mechanical used to be and where Holbrook Drugs is. What I was gonna ask is, for Holbrook Drugs, the only handicap door they've got is that front door, because you've gotta go up steps in back. And they've got a lot of older, people that come in for their medicines and things. And would it be possible to move that handicap space that is 4 spaces up, down closer to,
The handicap's up in front of the probation parole, isn't it?
no, it's in front of that empty lot. The
Past
parking lot,
probation.
yeah,
It's almost to the barber shop.
yeah.
It was put there for access onto it, there's not a ramp, there's not an access for, there's not a handicap walking ramp. You got to step up at the curb if you move it down, and before you can come in off the other end, you have a handicap access. That's why it's down, that's why it's originally down on that end.
Well, the thing is, we're redoing sidewalks, could we?
Well, I see your point though too, but doesn't Holbrooks have to have in their own parking lot in the back, have to have a certain number?
No.
Why don't they have to?
It's grandfathered.
It was built before, so.
And,
But then I would say that it's a business
well,
decision to do it. I mean, seriously, if they see that as a problem, they've got their own parking, then they should mark a couple of them.
well, they didn't see it, I mean, I was just looking at it, and I
How
was
many you
thinking,
got?
huh,
I mean, you got your-
handicap?
Yeah.
One,
your parking lot.
one.
Is that on the back one, right, the one, or is it in the front one? Is that on the back?
It's on, our handicap is next to the bakery.
Right.
I mean, it's on that bakery
Right.
side.
Oh, yeah, it's over
Yeah.
on, going down.
Going this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
She's got homework. Page 2.
Lord have mercy.
Last month, we had on the agenda to discuss hiring for the administration part, which I think everybody's job in the administration is important. Some of them require, when you hire, that you advertise for the job. We were 2 down, so I didn't push it last time, but I would like to discuss with the whole board about all the jobs in administration being subject to a hiring process that goes through advertising for the job I just think it's more professional, and I think everybody in here is very vital to running the city.
And there's the authority of the mayor, that's his authority to hire.
That's fine, it is,
Yeah.
but it doesn't say that it can't be more restrictive.
Right,
He can
and
still
that-
hire.
That I understand, but he doesn't have to,
But that doesn't mean the ordinance has to stay that way. It can
but
change.
he doesn't have to follow that. He can,
But the ordinance could change. And, you know what I'm saying?
it can
Is it-
change,
yeah.
but you're gonna limit yourself sometimes too.
Well, we would say, I mean, if Jan,
Some
if Jan,
jobs have to be approved by council.
yeah, but what I'm
That's already-
saying is.
That's already in there.
That's
If-
by statute.
I think what Jan is saying is, in administration, you're looking at specific jobs like accounts payable, accounts receivable, and those types of jobs, that you might want a interview process, a different type of hiring process. Maybe it's not a 2-week posting, maybe it's
I
a,
understand that, he can veto that because that's taking away his power. That's
So
what
he would have the,
He
have
has
the
the
authority
power.
to hire and fire, but that we have a process.
Right, but he doesn't have to follow.
can
That's
we,
it.
so if we created an ordinance or a thing in place, are you saying that that would go against his power?
Right,
We couldn't
you are
create a-
limiting his power,
And
and
that,
he can veto that.
and that power is,
He has all the power to hire
okay,
and fire.
okay, and the state has that kind of rule.
That's in the statute.
Okay.
Now, in the past, the power to fire has been limited, that you have to have for cause, but in the end, it's the mayor's decision.
Okay, so statute,
Yeah, that's under the mayor and council. Now, city clerk, city attorney, I think the building inspector, chief of police, fire chief, they all have to be approved by council.
I'm not saying
No.
council has to
I
approve it.
understand what you're
I'm
saying,
just
but I'm
saying that
just
we have a
saying,
process that we go
that's
through.
limiting his power. and
But
he
it's
can
still a
veto.
process, I mean,
I
you can still
understand.
hire.
I understand, but you're still
We're not
limiting-
saying,
I know what you're saying, but you're still limiting his power.
no, he'd be the one to hire, we're just
Yeah, but
asking.
he doesn't have to go
But
through.
he doesn't have to go through.
He can
What
choose
she's
to
saying-
do
I
that
know,
or not.
I think what Jan is asking is just to have a hiring process in place, that if you can bring people in and interview them, and then he makes a decision of who to hire, but just to have a professional
But
interview process in place.
what she's saying though, he already has that ability to hire and fire.
Right,
And if we pass an ordinance that says for all positions employed by the city or in the,
No.
in City Hall, wherever you wanna call it,
Mhm.
that it must be advertised for 2 weeks and it must be an interview committee set up, then you're superseding the powers that he already has and he doesn't have to follow them.
I don't think that's what she's asking.
No, I think it is.
Yeah, it
You're
is.
you're asking that we set up a process that he doesn't, by statute, have to follow, even if we pass the ordinance.
Are you not talking about an informal process?
You're talking about put something in ordinance that says that they have to advertise. Now, I was the first one to say, I think it's best practice. But after looking at the laws, you know, whoever's sitting in that seat, whether it's Jim Tom or anybody, they don't have to follow it. And I'm a big believer, coming from the school board side, in the board not being involved in hiring. It's not right. So, I don't mind advertising, and I was the first one to call you when I said best practice is to post it and find out who's out there. But once you start dibbling into the hiring process, I'm way against it.
And then what did I do the next time we hired somebody?
And he did.
Well, yeah.
And he invited me to sit on it, which I appreciated because it was something that was in my background. But that being said, I see both sides of it. I really do. I do think it's best practice, but it's also one of those ordinances that we would pass, and then if it's not followed, we just end up a big argument match, and we can't win.
Well, he can veto it too.
Right.
I think that the mayor hears our concern and
Right.
hears that we think it's a best practice, but it's up to him to implement it.
And I really do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I
'Cause that was
do.
my reaction too, just because. But,
And it's my goal in anything I do to get feedback.
yeah.
well, I think this is worth discussing, and I have certainly learned something as a result of understanding the rules, but, yeah, I mean, I come from the school system also,
Right.
where, a different system is followed.
Yeah.
Well, and the good thing about it is there's checks and balances all the way around, and I appreciate what you're saying, I understand what you're saying. But like she said, there are certain, and it's built into that, there are certain vital positions or positions that are considered more vital than the average position that you all have to approve. And so there's the council's checks and balances on that. But, I mean, it's a good discussion, and I do hear your concerns, and I understand. But I'm glad that we know what we can and cannot do, and we'll still try to work together on everything. That's the goal. Do you have anything else, Ken?
I think I'm finished.
You sure you have some sort of thing?
No, other thing.
All right, Glenn?
Just to reiterate, school does start Thursday. Our opening breakfast is tomorrow. I know Jan's doing a table down there, so we appreciate the local communities. I stopped by there on the way over, and it's amazing.
They're working on it this evening.
If you've never been down there to see it, it's really amazing what the community turns out to support and start back to school, so we're very appreciative. And I know the Treasury
I'll be
Commission is glad
there.
to enjoy all them, Jane, up a lot, so yeah, watch out for big yellow buses
Bruce?
and little white.
Oh, I'm
buses.
sorry.
You're going backwards.
I'm sorry, I know. I just try to mix it up a little bit. Tom?
I did have one, I just wanted to bring up the flood committee recommendations and wondering in retrospect whether we ought to consider passing some motions that just move those things to the next step. So there's the, I think I'd like to make a motion that we ask the Morehead Utility Plant Board to come back to us in a month and give us their thoughts on how we might move forward with this storm drainage system, based on the recommendations of the flood committee. And Glenn, if 30 days is too soon, it might be.
The only thing I'm concerned about there is we're
Still in flux with the new
60,
record.
60 days would be, again, this is, I don't think we're saying you gotta have a deal made, it's how we move forward, how we
Well, I look
move
at
this
Tom, I
forward.
don't disagree with you. It's a good time to get it on the table. I will talk with them about, timing, whether it's better to wait until we have a new superintendent, but I think it's a good time certainly to bring up to them to say, this is gonna come up, so we need to get this back on the table so that maybe we can put it on a new.
Can I interject an idea before you go?